All right, hey, this is Vu, and just going to take a look at kind of how disgusting the economy works in CS. And, you know, people are going to point out that this is not necessarily the new economy doing all of this, which is very true. But the fact that, Valve keeps pushing T-sided maps. They keep trying to make the game more and more T-sided with the SG the way it is now. Trying to make every map T-sided if at all physically possible. And this is kind of the situation it leads to. So I thought I would kind of highlight this because this is just an ESEA Advanced game I casted earlier, and it's really the most egregious example of the economy that I've seen in quite a while. So you're going to have, the way these rounds play out don't really matter that much early. You're going to have, I believe, the CT side. No, the T side pick up round number 1. And of course, the way the round number 2 plays out isn't really something you're going to see replicated all that often. The CT side is going to win the round, but the Ts have 3 players left surviving because the time runs out. So, that's a little bit of a weird one. You can't lie, right? But the CT side is going to go for a buy. They've got 3 M4s and an MP9 and a FAMAS, and deservedly so. The buy here from the CTs is kind of similar or worse than the buy from the Ts to a certain extent. Which is fine given the way the last round went. Now you've got a round that's pretty pivotal. The CTs really kind of need this one, and they do a ton of damage to the last 2 players, but unfortunately for them, they can't close it out. Viz gets taken down in the back here. And that's going to be another round for the Ts. And then you've got a semi-buy. The CTs are forced to save. They really don't have almost any money working for them here. So they've got some upgraded pistols. I mean, it's all upgraded pistols, but 3 of them are P250s. 2 of them are Deags. Grape has body armor. They're not going to get anything done here, but Swan is going to get 2 kills. And the problem I have with the new economy right now is it's like any round where you go 5 for 0 on the CT side, like you literally don't pick up a single kill, is an extra round essentially where the Ts can buy, whereas the CTs don't necessarily have that same privilege, where if they go 5 for 0, it still doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get that much money in the bank. And now, you go into round number 5, and this is another eco here from the CTs, just purely based off the way that that the first 3 rounds played out, right? They traded rounds, and now the CTs are onto an eco. But now you've got a 5 for 0 for the Ts, just one 5 for 0. And before this round, they didn't really have enough to rebuy. They had a couple players on 3K. They had one player, I think, had like 3,500, and 2 other players were down below 1,000. But now, off the back of that one, actually, if you look at it, you've got Laxify. He must have had 5K in the last round. 2 players had 3K. Now you've got 3 players up above 6K and 2 above 3K. And basically, once you get 3 buys in a row, you can buy forever. And if you get bomb plants both rounds, even if you get 2 buys in a row, it's essentially you're able to buy forever, right? So it's already a pretty dire situation for the CTs who go for a buy, and this is not the best buy of all time, right? This is not a picture perfect buy. And that's the thing, the CTs, they can't afford to not force something, right, on the eco rounds. They have to get damage done to the economy of the Ts. Otherwise, they're just in a horrific spot. If they go 5 USPs, they're going to end up, maybe killing 1 player, maybe 2 max. But then they end up in this situation that, could even be worse if they don't buy anything, right? And maybe you're thinking to yourself, that's fine. That's the way the CS works. You get kills or you don't. But sometimes when it comes to anti-ecos, there's some randomness involved. Getting a quick Deag headshot can really spin around. Going for a stack, people might walk into it, even if they're playing against stacks. Sometimes things aren't always cut and dry, and CS is a game largely about percentages, and that means that when you have situations like this, anyone can fall victim to percentages in a game like CS. Anyone can end up in a situation like this, and you're going to have, in fact, Polar Ace are going to pick up this round with 2 or 3, I think they pick it up with 4 players alive, actually. No, I lied. But they do pick up the round with 2 players alive. Okay, so 2 players alive. 2 players alive means they have to have a player that goes for a pretty light buy. They have Viz rather, on a FAMAS, no head armor, of course. They've got Grape with not full utility. So you have a clearly better buy from the T's, and the scoreline is only 4-2. And the T's, not only do they have a second buy up, they had a third in the bank as well. They got a bomb plant, and again, 3 buys essentially means you can permanently buy, even if you're constantly losing, because you're gonna have stacked money. You get a bomb plant, it's essentially permanent buys at that point. So now they've got a buy, and you've got a weaker buy than the T's have on the CT side, and the T's can know that. And a lot of the time in situations like this, I think knowing that, they can go for this type of exec and try and force the CTs into situations where they have to use utility when they don't have all that much utility. And you're going to have this round play out. Sarek's going to win it. And now you've got, because their loss bonus was reset down by 1, they're back into a situation where I think they got 1,900 for losing that round. And that means they're onto an eco, and it has to be a very light eco, because if they bought almost anything, they wouldn't be able to buy into the next round. So they would have been pushed onto a double eco, and a double eco is essentially seeding the half. So you're like 8 rounds in, and already you're in a situation where the CTs, if they lose this round, they're like losing the game. Essentially, they're already, if they lose that round, they're already in a situation where they have to double eco to get a full buy. They're never double ecoing in this situation. They're always going to single eco, which means they have to go for USPs here and very little upgrade. They could go for 3 P250s, but that's not guaranteed to get fuck all done either. And that would leave them in a situation where they probably lose 5-0. And if they lose 5-0, you've got another buy on the board for the T's in the bank, right? So it's like, it's such a shit situation because they can't buy this round. This is a round that like the entire half, for a large extent, hinges on them winning not only this round, but the next round and the round after. So 3 rounds in a row. We're round 9. They need to win 3 in a row to put Sarek back onto an eco. They don't even have a fucking full buy. This is not even a full buy. And again, they could have gone for a double save. They would have a better buy if they went for a double save. However, if they went for a double save, Sarek might have players on fucking 16k. Like, it's just such a fucked up, it's like so fucked. And just the fact that the Valve is constantly pushing maps to be T-sided, and it doesn't matter what sided the map in this game is, the map in any specific game you watch. When you look at maps that are T-sided, they're going to have more RNG. Because when you win the pistol round on the T side, then you win the bonus round, that's when things really get fucked up and out of control. And, if you're on the CT side and you're not on a heavily CT-sided map, so if you're on a T-sided map especially, the Ts are expected to pick up more than 50% of gun rounds, you're never getting your economy beneath you ever the rest of the game if you get in this type of situation. Because if they're expected to win more than 50% of gun rounds, how the fuck do you win 3 in a row? Like, how do you win 3 in a row to finally put them onto the eco? But the same thing isn't true in the other direction. The way the economy now works, which is, a lot of what I'm showing here isn't necessarily because of the economy. It's more because of the way they're changing the game, the guns, they nerf the AUG, but the SG is still really strong. They're nerfing the AWP, which is obviously a very, very strong CT-sided gun on a lot of maps, as opposed to how strong it might be on the T side. They're making maps that are legitimately trying to be more and more T-sided. They're doing a lot of things to make the map T-sided, but what really fucks things up is that now, even if the CTs get to a decent lead, it feels like they're always kind of 1 round, 1-2 rounds away from ecoing, because they never really make enough money, and the T's can kind of whittle away at that economy little by little by little, and eventually, without getting reset, the CTs never get any breathing room. and eventually the economy is being broken. So even if you go up 6-7-8-0 on CT side, you never have this level of economy that you have on the T side, which feels much more punishing in my eyes than the CT side having a lot of economy, because the T side can just run execs on you. They can be really aggressive. They got SGs. It can be very suffocating. And I've seen full series that have CT sided maps that end up going T sided because they start out like this. So now you have Polar Ace, they lose the round where they didn't have a great buy, and now essentially the half is fucked. They've got to save again. You've got Rebo on 12.5k. By the next round, he's literally on 16k. There's no coming back in this half on the CT side, and I don't like it. All right, that's what we're gonna. That's this video. I don't fucking like it, dude. I don't think this is conducive to a competitive environment. The way the economy works as it's in its entirety, and actually, I believe we can show that. I believe the reason I chose this game wasn't because of the start, but because of the second half. Like, what happens here in the second half? Let's take a look. So the pistol round gets won by Polar Ace, right? Yeah, the pistol round gets won by Polar Ace. Second round, and credit to the CTs for doing more damage than the Ts, right? This is credit to the CTs, but I don't think doing damage on, force buys and ecos is necessarily something you can always count on. I think this is one of those things where a lot of the time it's about percentages, Good teams are going to play this in a way, in certain ways, and sometimes they're going to land their shots, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're going to play an aggressive play that is going to work against a certain setup, and sometimes they're not, right? So I think there's a lot of percentages that go into this, but, credit to Sarek here. They get a couple of kills on the exit, and I think this is, maybe could be better done by Polar Ace. They probably don't want to lose these players here. Now they've lost 3. Now it's a full eco here for Sarek, but they get a couple of kills as well. And again, that's just a straight up mid stack. So I mean, that kind of shows you, percentage plays. It's a straight up mid stack, right? And they get 2 kills. I think they pick up a third. They do. Yeah, they pick up 3 kills. And now you've got Polar Ace. If we remember back on the first gun round for Sarek, or for Polar Ace on the CT side and Sarek on the T side, Sarek had over 6k in the bank. And maybe this is, I don't know. It's arguable. Maybe this is. A lot of people are going to say that this is showing how, it's not imbalanced because one team can do it and the other team can. But at the same time, I think this is kind of suggesting that it is somewhat imbalanced because of the massive swing that, killing just a few players did. And I suppose the extra round where they had 3 alive and then they won, that does make a tangible difference. But, you see this type of massive swing even when, it isn't traded rounds at the start where it doesn't go 1-1 and then 2-1. You see this type of shit even in those situations where, you'll have a team over 4k on 4 players if they have really good anti-ecos. But at the same time, now you've got Sarek, and this is partially economy management. They could have had more money here, but you could say that, part of the reason they got as many kills as they did in the previous rounds is because they spent more money in those previous rounds. They invested more into it, which now puts them onto a situation here where they're fighting against a round from Polar Ace, and they've got not the greatest utility. Of course, they did drop down a decent amount at the start, but they didn't start the round, I don't think, with full utility based on how little they have left already. And they're playing against a team with, a lot of SGs, a lot of, a lot of good guns, and it kind of goes against as well the theory that you're supposed to not buy AKs, not buy SGs on the second round because you can drop them over to your opponents. But now you kind of want that because then on the 4th round, should you hold on to them, you're in a pretty good spot. But anyways, they win that round with 30 health combined and instantly put Polar Ace onto the eco. But look, I mean, even winning that round, look at the buy we've got here from Sarek. We've got Rebo on a fucking MP9. And if there was a bonus round here for Polar Ace, which there could have been if they had not hit middle on round number 3, and instead they had gone A or B on round number 3, which is, again, could be their own fault. The argument is that a lot of this is it could be their fault. a lot of this though could be, you know, stuff that is going to happen from time to every team, and I don't like maps kind of being decided on that type of bullshit. So you've got, you know, Rebo on an MP9. You've got, you know, not full utility again, just not perfect utility. It's nearly full, you know. And Pistols and Polar Ace, and they're just going to lose this round. And, you know, the CTs... Oh, do they win this round? Oh, no, they lose this round. But the CTs, now they're on a pretty shitty buy here, too. They've got, you know... This is a kind of example of how the CTs never build economy, you know, very effectively, the way the T side can. You know, the T side... the thing is... It's easier to get these type of rounds when you're on the T side than it is on the CT side, I feel like. But, you know, Stealthy on an AWP body armor, Cam on an M4 and a smoke. You got Rebo on an MP9, and you got two guys with a legitimate full buy, right? And this is another round where, you know, now Sarek just kind of essentially reset their loss bonus by winning a couple in a row. You've still got a loss bonus here for Polar Ace South. And, you know, if Sarek loses round, they're back onto the eco. So the economy just can't be built on that CT side quite the same way. But I don't think following through with this one is going to make it any more reasonable. I just think it's fucked, to be honest.